Listen, I'm talking to you, okay? Hey guys, my name is Alex, and today I am talking about the ridiculous over-reliance on physical stimulation in sex. I know what you're doing. You're relying on these weird techniques that you've learned. Eat a girl out this way, thrust this way, oh, finger them this way, perform oral this way. They're all physical techniques, and you're relying on these things to improve your sex. But listen, you gotta stop that. Stop relying on physical methods of stimulation in sex and start incorporating psychological means of pleasure. What does that mean? Isn't sex purely physical? No, and I'm going to explain why. In the realm of sex, just like everything else in life, people have likes and dislikes, and it varies widely. Think about food. Some people might love a certain type of food. Other people might hate that certain type of food. Some people might love a certain physical thing in sex. Some people might hate that certain physical thing in sex. So don't rely on physical techniques because there's so much variety in the world that you couldn't possibly just guess the right physical technique for the right person when you're having sex with them. So what do you do instead of relying on physical stimulation? Because everything you've probably learned throughout the years is that sex is all about being in the right position and doing the right physical technique and doing things the right way physically and all this kind of stuff and all these techniques that you've learned and all these crazy things that G-spot stimulation, and you guys know what I'm getting at. So what do you do instead of these physical techniques? Listen, the physical techniques, you can still use them, but basic physical stimulation, like not even that good physical stimulation, is really all you need in a sexual experience. You do need physical contact, you do need these kind of physical stimulation things, but it's not the end-all be-all, and it definitely does not translate into good sex. No matter how great your physical technique is, that is not going to be the driving factor of a good sexual experience. So don't hate me if I've shattered your sexual reality and everything that you've thought about sex is wrong all of a sudden. It's actually easier than you think to be good at sex when you eliminate the physically driven sexual part of it. Because the best sexual experiences are those that are mentally stimulating. And that's actually easier to achieve than learning crazy physical techniques and putting your partner in weird positions and thrusting the right way and learning all these crazy fingering moves where you're doing weird things with your hands that you've spent hours training and whatever you're doing. All you have to do to ensure that you have good sexual experiences is make sure your partner is mentally stimulated. What does it mean to be mentally stimulated? It means your partner is present in the experience, so they are immersed, they are engaged. So basically your partner is only thinking about the sex that you're having, and their mind isn't wandering elsewhere thinking about the stresses of the day or what they have to do tomorrow or any insecurities they have, if they look alright, if their hair is okay or whatever. So if your partner is completely focused on the experience and they're not kind of drifting elsewhere and being distracted by other things, that is the number one factor of having good sex. Because if you think about it, if you were to hurt yourself in some way, that's a physical stimulation, right? You're getting hurt by something. It's physically, it's hurting you. But when you're not necessarily thinking about that, like you're distracted elsewhere, the pain kind of subsides. And the same thing happens during sex. If your focus is elsewhere, then what you're doing physically doesn't really matter because you're not thinking about it. It's not what's on your mind. It's not the primary stimulus that you're focused on. How do you keep your partner focused and engaged and mentally stimulated? That seems like a hard task, right? It's not as hard as you think, but it does require kind of laying the foundation before you have sex. So, first you have to communicate about sex. You have to broach this topic in your relationship. You have to talk about sex. You have to talk about what you like, what you dislike. You have to ask them what they like, what they're looking for in a sexual relationship, any of these things, you have to bring up the topic of sex. Then, as you're bringing that topic up, you also have to make sure that you're expressing sexual positivity and a complete non-judgment about anything that revolves sex, because you never know what you might say or judge that your partner actually truly desires or wants in sex. And that is just a breeding ground for insecurity and negativity, the judgment. So, communicate before you've had sex and be non-judgmental about it. Then, when you have sex, make sure you focus more on foreplay, get your partner aroused, get them turned on, talk to them, say they're so sexy, or that you love certain things about them, or just that they're turning you on, or you want them. Say these little things. Keep them kind of occupied on you. Don't give their mind the opportunity to drift away and think about other things. Keep them present on you, and you do that by talking to them. You do that by continually engaging with them during the experience. So that means during foreplay, you are doing as much as you can, you're touching in different ways, you're exploring their body as much as you can, you are talking to them, you're whispering in their ear, you are making eye contact with them. You're trying to connect yourself and your partner to the experience and stay in the moment. Then, when you move on to actual sex where you're penetrating and thrusting away and doing your stuff, dirty talk them. Talk to them while you're doing that. Say, it feels so good, or I love this about you, and just keep communicating. And you can even ask them what they like during it, and you can tell them what you like during the sex. So you say, do you like that? Or yeah, I know you, I can tell you like that. Just kind of keep the dialogue going. If you change these subtle things and just kind of communicate during the whole sexual experience, that is going to keep your partner present, and that is going to keep them in the moment, and they're going to be immersed, and they're going to love it. They're not going to be distracted by any other things. And then, on top of that, if you've built that foundation of communication and trust and respect and non-judgment, they're going to feel free to express themselves and just lose themselves to the experience, and it's going to be amazing for them. Better than any physical technique you can possibly think of. Trust me. And the other thing is that these are translatable skills, so no matter who you're having sex with, if it's the same partner your whole life or a new person, if you keep them engaged, if you keep them mentally stimulated in the sex, no matter what you do, the sex is going to be great. Better than anything that was just purely relying on physical stimulation. If you really want to be a crazy sex god, amazing master of sex, you add the physical techniques on top of the mental stimulation. But your primary focus is mental stimulation, keeping your partner in the moment. And make sure you communicate about sex. Don't get into this sexual relationship with someone and then just ignore talking about sex. And yeah, everyone likes to talk about sex, especially if you are in a committed relationship with someone and a sexual relationship. Get to know them on a sexual level. It's so crazy how many people ignore this and they just never talk about sex, and it's just something they do in the bedroom, and then it's like, yeah, we'll forget we ever did that, and yeah, move on with our lives. Maybe do it again later, but we won't talk about it ever. So, to sum up, stop focusing and relying on physical technique and physical stimulation to have better sex. Start focusing on mental stimulation. That is the key to good quality sex. So, if you like this video, go ahead and subscribe. I'm doing daily uploads, so tons of amazing sexual content is just shooting out of me yeah, you get it. Anyway, leave me a like, subscribe, and thank you so much for watching, especially if you've made it to the end of this video. I appreciate you so much, and until next time, bye guys.